Also with me is Puneet Sahani, researcher on the evolution of Sikh identity and Khalistan terrorism. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Let me bring in Puneet on that. Puneet, what is your guess on what's going to happen? More things change, more they remain the same, because it is ultimately the same Liberal Party. Yes, the Prime Minister face is different. It's not Trudeau, it's Carney this time round. He's perhaps likely to be more pragmatic, is what Daniel is telling us. But the political concerns, the political pressures continue to remain pretty much the same, Puneet.
See, you're right. But actually, like Canada is a country in a huge crisis. And, Carney has come, but the things don't change because there are fundamental flaws. To take just 3 points, Trump is saying, I want to make it the 51st state. You would be surprised that the poorest state that is in the United States, the 50 is Mississippi. And Mississippi has a higher GDP than Canada. So Canada is so poor, like few decades back. If you go to Canada, it was pretty much the same going to the US. Now, basically, you make like 60%, like 60 cents to a dollar in America. So the country is in a huge crisis. 98% of their growth rate is coming from immigrants. So you cannot incorporate so many people into that, so that's why you see. So the country and, like the result of this election, if I have to say one thing, is basically demolishment of the NDP, which was the third party, under the Khalistani Jagmeet Singh. So they have lost basically 2/3 of their vote. And 80% of that vote has basically gone to liberals and 20% to basically the conservatives. That is basically the reason for this, surprising fourth consecutive victory of the liberals. So the Khalistani has been, demolished. And, this, it was a election that they should have won and they were winning by 20 points. And, people are saying Trump. But I also think, you look at, if you have to look from the Indian lens, they had, this person called Stephen Harper in the Conservative Party. And Conservative are like the BJP of India. And Stephen Harper was kind of like an Atal Bihari Vajpayee kind of a period. He was polite, but he was firm. He was kind of a statesman. And I would really, request your audience to basically look at the statement that he had given on 25th anniversary of the Air India bombing. And he had basically said India is like such a great forward-looking country. And, we invite people to come here to make a good life, but we don't want this, to bring terrorism and blood feuds. And this has to stop. So he was right. And he was respected. And now they brought this, Polyev. And Polyev is basically, if you from the BJP, like a Narendra Tomar kind of a guy who doesn't know. So Narendra Tomar was basically folding hand in front of this, Kisan Andolan. And this is what Polyev has done. He has basically, whoever Khalistani said, don't give the ticket to them. I know so many people. He basically rejected their ticket. So he basically completely surrendered to the Khalistanis. And that is the reason. So for the Indians, for example, there are not too many people, but they are the richest community and they are influential. And everybody saw that. He basically totally surrendered himself to the Khalistanis.
Right.
And this is basically the cost that he has paid. And that is why he has lost the election.
All right.
I think that Trump is being overplayed. And this Polyev, who basically completely surrendered to the Khalistani and became like a pitiable Narendra Tomar-like figure, he's also responsible for the loss.
The bigger question that perhaps India would have is that what is the regime in Canada and how much is it willing to accommodate India's own political concerns, particularly about individuals, 26 persons, as we all know publicly, who are wanted for crimes here in India? How do you see that?
Your question, so it will work to India's favor, but in an indirect way. So, please pay attention to this. So, when this Khalistanis bombed the Air India aircraft, and it was not that this just one aircraft, they found on wiretap several times because of FBI that, they were planning to bomb more planes. And they were not convicted because Canadian system is a joke. In America, they would have been convicted for sure, right? They were found on wiretaps that they are explicitly Babbar Khalsa men trying to bomb planes. So, but Canada did not ban Babbar Khalsa. Canada, they were charities who were accepting donations. When 9/11 happened in America, then America slapped says that everybody has to act against terrorism. And then they basically banned Babbar Khalsa in 2002. Now with Trump administration, which is pro-India and anti-terrorism, if Trump basically, kicks them, then these fellows would start behaving. And you see that, the Sikhs for Justice guy.
And it's under so much pressure from the United States to actually do business and improve trade with India and improve its own diplomatic ties, isn't it, Puneet? Because that's something that would work for Canada.
No, again, I think Canada is basically a Pakistan of the West. And basically, these Khalistanis have infiltrated. I don't think it can act in a sane way. It is basically a Pakistan-like state, and you can only set cost on it to behave in a nice manner. And with Trump, we have a friend, and he's like serious about terrorism, and we can get a lot done. And I give you an example. For example, when Trump came and he started, he took one guy, this Khalistani, who was basically released by Biden. So he caught them and he said, we are going to take care of this Babbar Khaza guy who is involved in bombing. You would be surprised. And I actually translated a few of their, postings in from Punjabi to English. You can see on my Twitter feed. This SFJ guy, Pannu, they have become Gandhians. What they are writing is, please don't indulge in any hooliganism. Please don't indulge, support any crime. Please don't support any murder. Please don't support any dacoity. We are peaceful people. We believe in democracy. And we have warned you so many times, Khalistanis, don't act like that. So if you read what they are saying after Trump has arrested one person, they have become suddenly over Gandhians. So these are thugs, and this was actually, mistake of the Modi government that these are some nice people who have basically been who have been hurt, and we can heal their hearts. They are criminals, and if you give them a free rein, they damage not just the India but the Sikh pride and the Sikh reputation. So these are criminals, and they need to be dealt with criminals. And I appreciate President Trump and who's basically acting like that.
All
You
right.
act with terrorists, and that is the way you have to deal with them, and that is the only solution.